How's it going, everybody? I'm Dave Glavin, an aspiring NBA salary cap strategist, and today I'll be discussing the Detroit Pistons salary cap sheet as well as their upcoming rookie scale extensions. Detroit shocked the NBA world last season with a 30-win improvement from the 2023-24 season. I talked about in one of my previous videos how Houston was able to reset their culture, and credit to JB Bickerstaff for doing the same thing in such a short amount of time in Detroit, similar to how he did it in Cleveland. They did lose a tough series in 6 to the Knicks, but overall a successful season that they'll look to build on. Taking a look at how they operated this offseason, their biggest addition was Duncan Robinson, who they acquired via sign-in trade with Miami. They sent Simone Fontecchio to Miami and rewarded Robinson with a 3-year, $48 million deal. However, it's essentially a 1-year deal, given that there's only $2 million guaranteed in 26-27, and 27-28 is fully non-guaranteed. This is a good pivot after losing Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr., who really thrive next to Cade. And so it's good to bring in a shooter like Robinson. They also signed Karis LeVert using the full non-tax mid-level exception. He gives them some valuable shot creation off the bench that they desperately needed. Marcus Sasser really hasn't shown enough consistency to be the offensive engine when Cade goes to the bench. And so LeVert's going to be a safety valve for them and will help fill the role that Dennis Schroeder played last season. 2-year deal, almost $29 million. He has the connection from playing with Bickerstaff in Cleveland, playing for Bickerstaff in Cleveland, and him and Duncan actually played together at Michigan. So there's a connection there as well. They also re-signed Paul Reed, 2 years, almost $11 million. Kind of an underrated, disruptive defender. He ranks in the 85th plus percentile for both block and steal percentage every year of his career, and really rounds out their big man rotation with Duren and Stewart in what is an extremely physical group. They filled out the back end of their roster with Javonte Green and second-round pick Chaz Lanier from Tennessee. They sit comfortably below the luxury tax, over $20 million below. They've got all their first-round picks going forward, in addition to 15 second-round picks. They did generate a $14 million trade exception from Dennis Schroeder going to Sacramento. And this is just really good work by the front office. As a non-free agent destination, you have to maximize the flexibility you have and the exceptions that you'll be able to use. It's a really good job there. Still have access to the biannual exception, which is just over $5 million. That can act as a trade exception as well. Most important thing I'd like to analyze today is the potential upcoming rookie scale extensions for Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. Starting with Ivey, went down last season with a really tough injury, fractured fibula, right as they were really starting their run. He was having a much improved year offensively, up to 42% from three, from 35% the past 2 seasons. And his ability to shoot the ball really adds a new layer to his offensive ceiling, just given how quick of a first step he has and how good of a driver he is. If guys have to respect him from deep, he can really punish them off the dribble. I do question if he's the ideal guy next to Cade in the backcourt, just given his need for the ball. But he has shown signs to be a good complement, especially when his through ball is falling. In regards to a potential extension, I don't believe last season was enough of a sample size for both sides to get to a number that they're comfortable with. And for that reason, I don't think a deal is going to get done before the October 20th deadline in a couple weeks. Detroit has the protection of restricted free agency. And I also think Ivey's camp, they're going to want a full season of him proving that last season was not a fluke. As far as Duren, I do think the two sides will be able to come to an agreement before the deadline. He really embodies the Detroit identity, the toughness. And there's definitely some long-term offensive fit issues with Asar Thompson, who I think will be a part of their core going forward. But I think he really brings a valuable skill set and a toughness to the team that they really need. So still incredibly young, only 21 years old, despite entering the last year of his rookie deal. So I think that's certainly a factor as well. Like imagine where this guy's going to be at 27, 28 years old. He's already a man child right now. Really solid rebounder. He improved as a shot blocker last season, but he does need to be a little bit more disciplined and foul less, as well as improve his free throw percentage. He has shown that he can shoot in the 70s from the line, but you just can't be in the 60s as a starting center and expect to be paid like a top starting center. I believe a 3-year, $60 million deal, flat $20 million per season, is fair. Starts at roughly 12% of the cap, ends at around 10. Um, Looking at some comparable deals, Nick Claxton signed this deal a couple years ago, so he's on the higher end at $23 million per season. But these two extensions were signed recently: Wendell Carter Jr. and Daniel Gafford, coming in at 18 and 17 million respectively for average annual value in the first year of that extension. I do think those two are more impactful than Duren at this time, but what you're paying for in this potential 3-year, $60 million deal is that youth. Only 21 years old, still a ton of time to develop. And I think that shorter term structure gives Detroit the flexibility if his fit in a modern NBA offense just really is not working. And again, especially if Thompson develops and it is a part of the core like I expect him to be. And Thompson really hasn't shown signs of being able to stretch the floor. So having two guys on the floor that don't have much of a game on the perimeter is extremely difficult. This team, I've seen it, some reports they might be primed to trade for a star, given the picks they have and the season that they had last year, especially in a weaker Eastern Conference. But the sentiment that I'm getting and that I like to hear from Trajan Langdon is that they're following a slow build. This is a philosophy that Sam Presti has talked a lot about in great detail, about wanting to make sure they know what they have internally before making a conclusion that they'll need external star power. I expect an addition to come via that Schroeder trade exception, roughly $14 million. They did it last year, bringing in Schroeder at the deadline, but I feel like it's definitely too early to tell right now. But I feel like they'll need another shooter. Losing Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Simone Fontecchio, and only replacing him with Duncan Robinson is definitely a loss in terms of shooting ability. And Cade really thrives when he has guys that he can kick it out to off the drive. Couple of potential targets include a reunion with Beasley, which would be controversial and something I'm not a fan of if he is fully cleared of any gambling issues. Isaiah Joe of OKC, I feel like could be a good target for them. I think he'll be on the move, whether it's this season or next offseason, just as they approach a really high tax bill with Williams and Holmgren's extensions kicking in next season, as well as Sam Hauser of the Celtics, who for the same reason might have to move on from him as they try to duck the tax and reset their repeater clock. The latter two, they're on team-friendly deals for the next few seasons, and I feel like they could really fill the role of the guys that Detroit lost. Thank you to anybody who tuned in. I'm going to be back tomorrow doing a video every day in October with a video on Oklahoma City's really unprecedented cap situation. Thank you.